Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Refined Storage. Today, I'll be covering a whole plethora of things, including pattern making, auto crafting, security measures, wireless, and portable. So as you can see in front of me, I have several items. We're going to be covering more or less this line here, but we're going to start off with patterns, which will allow you to automatically craft things. So as you can see in here, when I look in this regular grid display, this is a crafting grid that I'm looking in right now, that I have several items in here, as well as these crafting options. If I choose this crafting option, I can actually request it to craft one crafting table. It will use 4 oak planks. I can click start, and there we go. I now have one all set and in my inventory. It's really cool. So this is what we're going to be discussing first. And in order to do so, you will be needing a pattern grid, as well as the ability to have first crafted what you want it to automatically craft in the future. You'll also, I suggest you have a crafting monitor. It is not required, but it's something that can also help you out. A crafting monitor is made with improved processors, which basically have a piece of gold in there, some quartz-enriched iron, a couple of blank patterns, machine casing, and some glass. So it's not too bad, and you're only ever going to need one of these, assuming that you've got like a central setup. And what this allows you to do is see everything that is currently crafting, in case there is multiple stages in order to craft something. I also have this pattern grid here, which the pattern grid is going to allow you to craft patterns in order to create these, auto crafting abilities. And the recipe for that is just going to be a pattern, an advanced processor, which is going to have a diamond in there, right there, as well as your grid, which is already a little bit of a process in a solderer that will, craft up a pattern grid. And how this works, actually, let me put that back down there, is that you see here, it looks similar to a crafting grid. I have the similar options on the side here, but I can actually tell it that I can still access it just like a normal grid, but I need to tell it recipes. And for that, you're going to need patterns, which patterns are just glass, redstone, and quartz-enriched iron. And you're going to want a bunch of these if you want to auto-craft a whole bunch of stuff. So, for instance, if I, like I said before, wanted to make a crafting table, I could actually take 4 pieces. See now, just by grabbing the entire stack, it kind of messes up. So you just want to take a minimum amount. Once again, it's just a center click in order to grab one of the appropriate materials. And then you tell it what the output's going to be. The reason for this is because you can have it automatically craft on non-crafting grid setups, like a solderer, where it requires 3 items. So I can actually tell it if I want, let's clear that out. If I want to craft an advanced processor, I could feasibly do so by, telling it I'm going to want one of these, one of those, and one of those. Oh wait, that's too many. I did it again. So you basically are going to want to put that back, put one in there, and then grab one of these, and then you tell it that that's what it's going to be. Now in this case, I'm actually going to, you can see all the things. It says that these are available, so if you are actually short, it will tell you the materials that you'll be needing. And it's going to automatically start crafting that up in the solderer, and it goes back into the inventory. And in this case, I'm going to tell it that's what the output is. Now, assuming that I've actually already crafted this up normally, then I can create a pattern. You just take patterns that you've made yourself and you put them in here. Then you just click there and it will turn it into this. Inputs, printed advanced processor, redstone, printed silicon, advanced processor. You then take that and you can put it in a crafter, which is what you will also need for this. It's a little bit of a setup for this, but it's well worthwhile to save yourself, especially if you have something like a Greg Tech or some kind of Simply Jetpacks or something like that, where you've really got to advance from one step to the next, to the next, to the next before you're able to progress. So you don't have to do a lot of micro crafting. Now, a crafter is going to be a construction core, a couple advanced processors, a destruction core, and a bunch of quartz-enriched iron around a machine casing. There is a bit of resources involved in this, but once you've got these set up, you should be good to go. And a crafter, once attached in there, will have several slots on here. You can see there's 9 slots. That's as many different patterns as it will hold, and you can always, add on some add-ons here. But for now, you can put this pattern in here, and you can see if I hold Shift, you can see what the patterns represent. Even if they're in my own inventory, if you hold Shift, it tells you what it's going to be simply visibly, so that you can understand that. Now, I already have that in here, so I don't actually need it. But if I go into a regular crafting grid, and I make up a redstone block. There we go. We're going to clear that back out. We're going to actually make another one of those so that this will be a new crafting pattern in here. So we go to the pattern grid and we clear this out, and I'm going to tell it that I want a redstone block. And I just made a mistake because I just dragged all of them again. Yep, that's right. You're just going to have to want to do this one at a time. And there we go. And then it still wants to know what it is, because you could actually tell it's going to come out with a crafting table. And it's going to think that it's a crafting table, and you put it in here and it's going to try and make a crafting table. And you can say, all right, well, let's take out the original crafting table, and you can see it still thinks it's going to make one. So we're going to hit start. It says available 9, start. And what happens? Well, I don't know. It says items processing 1 times crafting table, but it's not actually crafting properly. So this is why a crafting monitor will sometimes come in handy in case there are errors or there are some parts or pieces missing. This can really help you find those items. Now, of course, if you have some kind of error in here, you can actually view your automated tasks as well, by clicking on there yes or no. But you can hit cancel and it will stop working on trying to craft something, because obviously that's not working, when instead we can clear this out, grab one of these, put it all in here again, and we can actually tell it it's going to make, there we go, a block of redstone there. So let's take this old crafting table out of there, which is 9 redstone to 1 crafting table. That's going to be incorrect. We put the real one in there, and then we take this one here that's actually going to make redstone, and then we actually tell it I want to make 10 of those. Start. Missing 45, available 45. So we only have half the ingredients, so I can't really start and make 10 of those. So what I could do is then just lower it to 5 and then start. Now you might think that that actually would be good to go at this point, but no. We don't want it to be processing. Processing means that it's going to go into something like a furnace or a solderer, and so therefore that's not going to be the proper method. In fact, we're going to tell it not to do that. We are going to just have an output in here. So therefore we want to grab this, and we can fill this back in with redstone. Tell it that's going to do a block of redstone, and it should automatically think that that's going to be the right thing. And therefore, if I click processing, it'll go back to thinking that it's going to be some alternate means of progression. And instead, we can take that out, 1 block of redstone, then we can put this in here, put that up there, and we can then start the request for a block of redstone, which actually I grabbed 1. So let's do 4 more, start that, start crafting, and there we go. I now have 4 blocks of redstone. You can actually add speed upgrades to increase the speed at which it does that. Plus you can also turn it back into redstone again, put that all back in there, and you can see here that I now have, I've got 3 oopses in my inventory. Well, not to worry, you just grab them and you just shift right click and it will blank them out, and you can reuse those patterns in your pattern grid. Once again, just tossing them back in, not a problem. That involves the pattern grid crafting monitor as a possible option, which I do highly recommend you go with, because it's just going to save you a whole lot of headache in the end. Some kind of crafting grid, obviously, because you're going to need to craft this stuff anyway. And of course, at least a crafter, depending on how many more patterns you want to add in, and you're going to want to hook them all up. If you do have a solderer, I recommend that you do have the crafter actually connected to it. Because if it's not, it will not necessarily, feed the recipes into the solderer that you would want. So it's best to have the crafter connected to the device that you want it to actually be crafting into, if it has special, what are they called, processing instead of your standard crafting methods. Now, let's get into the Security Manager. Security Manager is actually much simpler than one might think. It's this pretty neat looking little block here. It's a bunch of quartz enriched iron, some kind of chest, machine casing, and 3 security cards, which consist of more quartz enriched irons, advanced processor, and a couple of network cards, which network cards are also more quartz enriched iron, advanced processor, and paper. There's quite an investment for it, this one little block. And what this allows is people with accesses to your inventory. So you can see here a security card bound to Valen Frostweaver. That's me. And you can give them specific securities if you so desire. So if you want, you basically take a blank one you give it to somebody. They then aim in the air, right click, and it becomes bound to that person. You then put it in here, and you can tell them what they're allowed to do. They can insert, they can extract, they can autocraft, modify, build, security, etc. But actually, let's put that in here. And you can tell them the different things that they can or cannot do as you would like, and then you can leave it in here for those accesses to be allowable on your system. That's pretty much it. There's not too much to that one. It's pretty basic stuff. Now let's get into the disk manipulator, wireless transmission, and the portable grid. Portable grid's really, really cool. So if you see here on my hotbar, I have a portable grid with me right there. It takes a little bit of energy, so you will need to charge it up in some kind of generator. I don't think I have any too close by there. And it should charge it up, but you can sneak it. You can sneak and right click, and you can place it in the world as you have here. And then I can just right click and I can access the inventory. Let's put a piece of blue stained glass in there. There we go, because I have a 64K storage disk in here. So I can put in a whole lot of stuff. It will only hold one disk. You can have different upgrades on here. It doesn't have a crafting ability on it, but it is a portable grid and basically just a portable storage device you can take with you with limited uses until you power it back up. And as you can see here, have it with me. I just right click while it's in my hand. I can take stuff out. Now first it's got 2639 FE. Take an item out, 2636 FE. Put an item back in, 2633 FE. You're probably seeing a pattern here. Every time that you take an item in or out of this, it will therefore use up a bit of the stored energy. Therefore, it is a limited use, potentially massive storage backpack that you can bring with you. So it is really, really handy, especially since you can place it in the world and other people could then access it as well. It doesn't have to be something that you just keep on yourself or your person, and it can be a mobile means of you to like set up a new base. You can put a whole bunch of stuff on a card and then you can take it with you and still access those inventories on your journey and then place it down and use it as a temporary grid instead of having to do a lot of a setup. And it's just really cool like that. I do like the portable grid quite a bit. It's a much more advanced version of a backpack that is upgradable depending on the size that you add in for the storage disk. And of course there are different upgrades you can add in on the side and different ways you can organize how it's seen, etc. Now, disk manipulator. This can be a bit confusing. Disk manipulator. You've got this like line here. I've got a couple upgrades in here, a stack upgrade and a speed upgrade, in and out. It's like, what the heck is this? I also have a crafting grid, a fluid grid. Fluid grid has 1 water. Crafting grid has 1,000 cobblestone. And I have a disk drive set up with currently a 64K fluid storage disk and a 1K storage disk that is maxed out. Let's say that I want to increase my normal inventory storage. So I make a 64K card. Let's make it a regular storage disk, and I want it to be the new one because I made a whole bunch of these. Let's put them all in here. And oh, you know what? I want to max out my storage. I want 64K. I don't want this 1K. So let's take this here, this 1K storage that has 1,000 cobblestone in it. All the rest are all empty. They have 0. This one has 0 as well. You know what? I'm going to put that new one in here. So I have a disk with 1,000 cobblestone on it, and I can now feed it back into this system with the disk manipulator. If I right click in here, you'll have options over here. I/O mode, extract from network, insert into network. You want to make sure it says insert into the network, and this will take whatever disk you put in here and move it into your existing network now. So if I take this in here, and you'll start seeing it is depositing that. I currently have these upgrades on the right side, a stack upgrade and a speed upgrade, just to kind of move things along quite faster. Now you can see it has stored 0 out of 1,000. And if I look in here, there's 1,000 cobblestone in here, and it is in the first 64K storage disk. This will allow you to basically move items from one disk to another in a much faster and easier method than you might want, or than you might normally have, instead of, like trying to move it into a whole nother system, then modify everything manually, put it all back into another one or anything like that. And you can always, of course, make it do types of items and fluids, blacklist, whitelist, all sorts of modifications, redstone signals and stuff that you can always go with. Now let's get into wireless. The wireless stuff has a limitation. A lot of mods will allow wireless to go like an infinite distance. This will not allow you to do so. This is more along the lines of shorter distance, and I just realized that there are chargers here. So let me put my portable grid in there and charge that back up. That's what I was trying to do earlier. Anyway, A wireless transmitter is this little guy here. It looks just like kind of a little torch, but it says it needs to be placed on a cable. The recipe for it is an ender pearl, machine casing, advanced processor, and a bunch of coarse enriched iron. So it's interesting, but from where this is placed, it will then extend a certain distance. Now, if I right click on it, let me put this down here. Actually, you'll see wireless transmitter, 48 blocks. Let's take all these upgrades out of here. Your default is 16 blocks. I have range upgrades installed on the side here. Recipe for that is an ender pearl, redstone, and a blank upgrade. In a solder will get you one of these, and every one of these that you add in adds in an extra 8 blocks of range, so you can go up to 48 blocks, therefore allowing you wireless access around your base, more or less, with this option. And how do you accomplish that? With a wireless grid, which will, of course, similar to a portable grid, allow you to access your entire network much simpler. So let's put this in here. Now with this wireless grid, you think, all right, well, let's just right click this and, oh, wait, no controller found. I need to set this up with a controller. So if I come over here and I right click on there, then you see that the screen just kind of lit up on the wireless grid. Now when I right click, hey, look, there's 1,000 cobblestone, something that I just looked at, and I can grab it, put it back, and you can see it used up a little bit of the power. So I could just, fill my inventory, and it's using up a bit of the power in there. Get all this back in. There we go. And that's pretty much how it works. And it'll work, and it tells you actually on there linked to 480.64.996. So that is the coordinates of this controller. And therefore you can now have wireless access, according to this with all of its upgrade, up to 48 blocks away around your base, which can be useful. You can also then put more of these wireless transmitters around just to kind of expand how far it will reach. Now there is also a wireless fluid grid, which is very similar in recipe. You just need a fluid grid in the center instead of your regular grid, and that will get you your wireless fluid grid. Same as before, you'd need to put it on here, charge it up, and you will need to find a controller in order to connect this to. Let's see if I can actually find one around here. There's one down below. There we go, and now I can access this. There's no wireless transmitter in range. Oh. Well, look at that. And this has to be on a cable is the problem. So you have to make sure that wherever it is, you're going to have a piece of cable sticking out from your setup that this is going to need to be attached to. Let's see if I can actually get up here and there we go, place it on top. And it won't work on just regular parts and pieces. So now if I try accessing this wireless fluid grid, there we go. I now have the access to it, but there's no fluids on there. So that's not really going to be that useful. You'd have to connect it to something that might actually have a wireless fluid grid, like this one here has that 1 bucket of water in it. So therefore you're good to go. Now this can be changed up to be a little bit more useful. Besides that, you have a network transmitter, which, let me grab this thing here, which is made with a bunch of ender pearls, a construction core, a destruction core, 3 advanced processors, and a machine casing. You're probably thinking, what the heck, that's a lot of diamonds and ender pearls and stuff. Why is that it's so expensive? This is for trans-dimensional stuff here, and I will explain more in a moment. This is more going from one side to another. Now, over here, I have, wait, did I have 2 network transmitter and a network receiver? That's the other one, sorry. The receiver here is made in a similar fashion, just kind of the recipe's upside down. So you've got a network transmitter and you've got a network receiver. And how this works is, if you look here, I don't have any kind of controller set up on this thing, but yet I can access this grid and it's hooked up to that stuff over there. That's interesting. And how this works is with a network card and potentially an interdimensional upgrade. Now, a network card is going to be useful not for the setup that you want to access, but for the setup that you're going to be going to. Now, I have 3 different transmitters here. I have one here with an interdimensional upgrade. I have one here with 66 blocks away, and I've got one here that's 4 blocks away. And the 4 blocks away is going to be this one here, this setup, which is what this one is currently hooked with. So, that's whoops, sorry, that's where this is, 4164,000, 4164,000. Now, over here, I have 415,68,998, which is another one. And then I have this one here in dimension -1. This one is linked 5548,131 with an interdimensional upgrade. Now, let's actually go out back. I will show you what's going on here shortly. If I head out back here, just There's another portal. That's going to be the part we go to next. But if you look way out back, it's at about 66 blocks away, I have a network receiver. And in this one here, it allows me to receive information about that. And this was hooked up to that other setup. And in order to do this, I could actually take my network card, right-click on here, and it will change the connection to be here. So a network card linked to 415.68.998, and then I could actually install it in the transmitter back here, allowing us to do so. Now, for the interdimensional upgrade, you can use this on multiple dimensions. And what this allows you to do is actually just network your system so that it becomes wireless. Not necessarily you will have wireless access. You could feasibly add in, another one of these and one of these on top, and thus gain yourself, a little bit of wireless activity while you're out here. But for the most part, this will allow this unit to access something further away. But keep in mind, it's going to cost more energy the farther away it is. Now, if I go over here, jump into the nether, and you'll see that when you come through into the nether, that you should have another one here. Now, what I did is I took the network card, I shift right click on the network receiver that I placed down. I also have a crafting grid and a fluid grid here just to show there's the 1000 cobblestone and the 1 water, and I will even take out a stack and a half, or +1. So we've got 935 left in there, and the water bucket, we've got 1 water, but I don't have any buckets with it, so it's just going to have to stay in there. But you get the idea. You just right click on here, and the interdimensional upgrade will allow you to therefore access things remotely interdimensionally as well, and allow you, if I click on here, the network transmitter, I then put in here, and this one actually is linked to the same spot, but I would put this in that place. You can actually have it redstone active or not. The interdimensional upgrade will allow you to do that in another dimension, and it allows you to access this. Now, if I click on here, you can see we've got 935 and that same 1 water. It's pretty darn cool stuff, if I do say so myself. Now, the only downside with this is that if I click here on the creative controller, which I spawned in a creative controller, so I don't have to worry about power problems. But if you look on here, network transmitter, this one, we've got 3. There's one of them that's like, what was it, 6 blocks away? 4 blocks away. That's this one, 66 per tick for you to access something 6 blocks away. Now, of course, this allows you to just continuously add everything onto it as if this block therefore represents everything in your main system. And then if I look at the next one, 314 per tick, and that's a lot of, for those that are not familiar with it, think of it as like FE, think of it as RF as well, and that's just over there. That's not that far, so it's good for having multiple terminals around your base without having to have cables. But when you do something like going interdimensionally, 1000 FE per tick, that's a lot of power. So you're going to want to be cautious about that. Now, something I did not mention about this is the cost. The network card is rather simple with quartz enriched iron, paper, and an advanced processor, whereas the interdimensional upgrade, well, that's a nether star, redstone, and an upgrade. So already it's relatively end game stuff there. Let's put these back in the right spot for you to be able to do that anyway. But hey, you know what? Why not? Now last, we're just going to do a quick and dirty covering of a writer and a reader. First, let me grab each of these here. A writer is just quartz enriched iron, construction core, redstone, and cable. And a reader is similar, quartz enriched iron, destruction core, advanced processor, and cable with some redstone in there. And what this allows you to do, if you see here, I currently have a reader here, and a reader here, and a writer here. And therefore, we now have 2 readers. One that is currently set as on, one that is currently set as off. So therefore, this one's red, this one has nothing, and this one is currently, if I set it to off, it's dark. If I set it to read on, it's lit. So that's pretty much the idea with a reader and a writer. You can actually transmit information about a block from one spot to another. Of course, it will have to be connected in your system in some way, shape, or form, but that's the basic idea. I mean, it's not too bad. It's pretty cool. I like it. I like a lot about this mod. I hope you guys enjoyed. That pretty much covers everything that I currently have at the moment for Refined Storage. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, spread the mischief to others. You think they'll enjoy this content too. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.